There we go. And we are live. Welcome to Unit Truth Podcast, the world's first legitimate reality TV. And today I am joined with professional basketball coach Kameron Brandon. I will allow him to introduce himself momentarily. Now, I say professional, and you may be thinking, what team does he coach with? Is he in the NBA? Is he in college? Is he international? Well, I've throughout my nearly 2 decades of coaching, I've coached hundreds to thousands, coached against hundreds of thousands, professional players, whether that's NBA, internationally. But as a basketball coach, we, being the average man, tend to get um, words can have loaded meanings. Professional, for example. When I think professional, let me ask you, would you want an amateur leading your children? If a man or woman or man, has gained experience in a field, regardless of the amount of pay, or even if they're getting paid at all, because when I was beginning my career in coaching, I was definitely volunteering, investing in myself, investing in the future, but I still carried myself as a professional. Therefore,
Right.
I was a professional basketball coach. So, with that being stated, I will, well, I need to state this as well. I don't like to rush. I don't like to rush at all,
Right.
depending on the circumstances. However, in this instance, he and I will have a hard stop at 12:50 Mountain Time, and we will potentially look to have a part two, maybe, or this may be epic enough where we can just leave everything as is. So, Coach,
Okay.
take as much time, be as short or thorough as you need to be, while I share these links on my personal social media platforms, and introduce us. Tell us about yourself. What led you to even being where you are now. Where are you right now? And just as much as you like to share with us. And I appreciate you joining us today, and just you in general. That's the thing about these exchanges, these bills. There's no guarantee how many more of these I would do. You are my third. Let me ensure that I'm tallying that appropriately. You are my third reflection who I've been able to sit across, albeit virtually. Of course, we've engaged face to face as well. And I only look to, for the most part, this is a diverse channel, a diverse podcast, but I prefer those of us who live integrally, at least living a balanced life, nothing distorted, and I just admire you for reasons I will speak of later on. But yeah, just go in. I know that was a little lengthy introduction, but yeah, tell us about yourself.
Okay. First off, I appreciate you having me on here. It's a blessing just to be here. I don't get a chance to talk too much. Um, I receive a platform to talk too much at the position I'm at, but yeah, I'm excited to be here. I'll just go into detail about myself a little bit. Um, I grew up in Aurora, Colorado. Um, I've been around hoop my whole life. My dad and grandfather were coaches too. So the coaching runs in my background. Um, I I played 2 years of varsity at Cherokee Trail High School. I dealt with a lot of injuries there, so my time there was kind of short and just not as fulfilled as I wanted to be there, but still had a great experience. Coming out of high school, I had I had a little bit of D1 interest. I had a school called UMass Lowell that was recruiting me. And then I had a NAIA school, William Penn, who was also recruiting me at the time. And so I kind of um, William Penn ended up offering me. I didn't accept the scholarship, which is another conversation. But I ended up going to the JUCO route. I went to Lassen Community College in California. Um, had a good. I played my freshman year, which was I believe 2017, 2018. I actually had a good year. I ended up I was voted first team all conference. Um, won the Marlon Hall Junior Award, and had a great freshman year, but dealt with injuries after the season. In the off season workout after the season, I ended up fracturing my foot, so had to have surgery. This was right before COVID, actually, so had to do a lot of reflecting. I had me and my coach there were kind of on the same terms about getting me out of there and going to a bigger school, going to a university. I was in contact with a couple schools. One was in Pennsylvania. Both were NAIAs. Didn't really didn't really uh, get the opportunity that I wanted um, while communicating with those schools. So I was kind of in limbo at that point, just trying to figure out my future and find a home and all that. So I ended up I was actually already in Fort Collins with my two brothers who I live with right now, and my older brother he had connections to the CSU basketball team. So I was I was planning on moving out here and just rehabbing, uh, getting in the gym with guys who have been around the game and things like that, who have played at that level. So I came out here just to rehab and then hopefully find another school. That didn't work out for me, so I started. It was more so just the not the right time, not the right opportunity. I felt like, so that's when I got into this coaching. I got into the coaching field, and I really at first I was kind of just getting my feet wet a little bit. I didn't really know that it was something I wanted to do, that's something that I wanted to take serious as I do now. So um I kind of I started coaching a real younger team, probably about fourth, fifth grade. Started working with those guys, fell in love with the process, fell in love with just developing these guys, and then I'm still with the same team now. So I've been coaching them now for about 4 to 5 years. Great group of kids. I just now I'm actually on the training side of this basketball world too. So me and my brothers were blessed enough to start a, a training a training business where we train players all the way from fourth grade all the way up to college students, and we train them individually. We offer small group workouts. Our academy is called Brandon Basketball Academy. So I just really fell in love with the training and the coaching side of aspect of the basketball game. It kind of was. I knew I always wanted to coach in the long term, but at the time I was so set in playing still. So but that kind of, like I said, between COVID and injuries and things like that, it kind of just led me into this coaching field. And so I'm here now. I currently coach with State 38 program. I coach the seventh grade team over there. So I've been coaching those guys for about 4 years. No, 4 years, going on 4 years now. And so my brother also took the job at Mountain View High School this in Loveland this past this was his first season over there, and he had me on as his assistant coach this year, along with my other brothers. So we got that experience this year of this was our first year at the high school level, which was a great first year, great experience. But I know that was kind of long winded, but just giving you a background of where I come from and where I am now.
Now that's big time, and you're fine. That explanation was thorough, and we value that for certain. I would like for you to mention as well how, if I am a, let's say, young boy, or if I'm a parent of a young boy and I see this build, this interview, how do I get in contact with you? Or did you mention Brandon basketball? What is the name again?
Yeah,
Brandon.
so the the business name is Brandon Basketball Academy. And you can get currently we're still developing our website right now. We'll be on Google soon, but as of right now, you can find us on Instagram, we're on Twitter, um, we're on we're on Facebook. So if you just search in Brandon Basketball Academy, and my Instagram is Cam Brandon. So you could reach us at any of those platforms right now currently.
Awesome. And what we'll do, as I did mention beforehand in our just slight pre-build, I will edit this for you so that, for us, I should say, so that all of your contact information will be present in a video manner. And I will also post on Rumble. That is, we'll have an exact copy of this interview there as well. And it's about exposure. And I liken that to a young boy, young man, young girl, young woman who wants to be recruited. It doesn't matter about how many likes, shares, whatever the case you may not feel you're getting. It's about, one, taking care of yourself individually, being your best self. Basketball
Right.
aside, because basketball will only go so far. The ball will eventually stop bouncing. But for many
Exactly.
of us, sports allowed us to have a segue into the professional paradigm, speaking on a mundane level, and our reputation follows us. You can't change the spots on the cheetah per se. You can't change the stripes on a tiger. So I do
Exactly.
recommend being balanced in character, balanced to high positive, definitely for sure. And that is a reason why another reason why I wanted to build with you, because when I come into practice, I know how it is with respect to our parents who may not have played sports, or even if they have played sports. Basketball is one of those type of professions where it's like football, basketball, baseball, sports in general, where everyone is a Hall of Fame coach from the stands.
Yeah.
Everyone, excuse me, and that can
100%.
get that could, as a coach, being one myself for nearly 2 decades, I know how that will make me feel. I'm very mindful of that. And something I do with parents beforehand is I say, I have a son. Aside from me doing this for the previous X amount of decades, I would not step into anyone else's profession, giving them pointers on what to do. But I also have a lot of experience. And if you would like to compare resumes, we can definitely do that. Just establishing that standard of what I expect. But furthermore, this is the most pertinent thing I feel that I tell them. Hey, I'm only going to coach your daughter or son like I would want someone coaching my daughter or son
That's
had
a
they
great
played
point.
sports. Or I will only coach them as I will coach my own son. And that's only one way. Discipline, being our improving self perpetually, and accountability along with the team environment. But transitioning to you with someone who's been able to do the things that I've been a part of, and wanting to be a parent, wanting to be a dad, not wanting to be involved in any extreme capacity. I know for those who don't know, this is one Cam. He coaches my son, not in games, but Trey does practice with his championship squad. And when I come in, I'm usually out the way for multiple reasons. But you didn't even know that I had a platform to do a podcast or anything like that. You
Right.
really didn't know who I was to that capacity. And I've seen you do it to many others. You always, even to the point where I say, hey man, you gotta go to coach a team. You always come out your way to speak, to shake your hand, to be, say, hey, I'm here. And I respect that about you. And also because I didn't know, I went into a film room with you all and you respectably said, hey, this is for the team. Whereas a lot of people can see, my accolades, my son, and be like, okay, well, he get special privileges, but you were on the team component, you're respectful, and you're grounded, and that speaks volumes about you. Question, considering the fact that basketball coaching, and I've heard this from quite a few coaches, you essentially landed into the role. Have you considered where do you see yourself propelling to from where you are now?
Sorry, Willie. I'm sorry, Willie. I had to relocate real quick.
No worries. I can repeat the question. From considering the fact, like so many other coaches, that some of us we envision it. I know I wanted to be a coach since I was a little boy, when I knew I wasn't going to make the NBA due
Right.
to many of reasons. My question for you is, since you landed, coaching found you. Now
Right.
that coaching has found you, what do you see that projection playing? How do you see that projection playing out in your favor in the future if you were to answer that like right now?
Man, that's a tough question. I think I go back and forth with that question all the time. I would say realistically, I see myself at the coaching at the high school level for I could see myself honestly being either a varsity assistant where I'm at now, or I could see myself being a head coach for a varsity team out here in a program. And I say that because I see my brother now in that position, and I just see I've seen great leaders in the past who come before me, such as Rudy Carey, and it's just motivation seeing being able to put your footprints on a whole program. You know what I'm saying? And really, that's something I haven't been able to do yet. That excites me in this field. So realistically, I would say I could see myself at the varsity level at a program in Colorado.
And that's what I mean by you are a professional coach, because just in general, yes, even if you were coaching elementary, if that was your goal, those young boys are going to get the foundation of basketball from their parents, but more particularly their coaches at those younger ages. So
Correct.
Being that example, setting that foundation, building fundamentals the right way, because there's a right way to play the game and there is a selfish or wrong way to play the game.
Right.
And having that on the front end, like you, as a parent, as a concerned parent, not a concerned parent, but as a parent who loves their children, you will only ideally want your child in the best possible hands in every realm throughout their existence. So yeah, just providing that recognition to you, your family, those before you that led you to where you are, that's quite amazing. So
Thank you, man.
you're oh, absolutely, for sure.
I appreciate that.
And that's where even taking it, because I equate basketball to life. You know, I've done it. I see the correlations. And how does it, I know how it would make me feel as a young up and coming coach if someone labeled me as a professional. Now, regardless of what they label me, I know how I'm going to carry myself.
Right.
I got that I was younger. Nobody is saying, you know, be a square, enjoy life in a balanced manner. But I felt like, well, I knew that if someone called you professional, you're going to look to emit that within your frequency. I equate that to our youth. You know, a lot of us as coaches, to no fault, knowledge is a build. I refrain from calling my children or boys, girls that I'm around kids, because that objectifies them by my assessment. Rather, I label them as the young men, young women they are, or boys and girls, to give them that inner sense akin to subconsciously programming their own projection. You know, because if you're told you're a kid, you're likely to carry yourself as one. Whereas if you are told you're a young man or a young woman, now I can be that example for you as a coach, and you're likely to model that. So, you know, just wanted to
100%.
provide that nugget, and that's what this transmission is. It's not
Yes, sir.
Nothing, not anything conventional. It's from the heart. This is unrehearsed, non-scripted. I don't even have questions for you. It's an organic flow. And I know that for sure. And that's where we connect at the heart.
Mm-hmm.
And here's a fact. No, you and I, we both have resonant skin avatars. We do. But if you were to strip this completely off, you were to take this off and just looked at us in the inside, not only you and I, but we'll see a lot more similarities throughout the planet than differences.
Right.
Our heart, that's where I look to connect with my reflections. And we, you know, we resonated in that matter. Heart is an anagram for earth. And I know that however our heart is, that's what we will see exteriorly, in an exterior manner. Our internal is a reflection of our external. Now, here's a question I have for you, that you get a reporter, or a mainstream reporter, I should say, who asks questions. If you never experienced it, you just really don't even know the weight of the question you're asking. But here's one I have for you.
Okay.
Being a championship coach myself, being a winner my entire life, how do you approach regular season games versus tournament play? Because you are a multi-champion, to my knowledge. Correct me if I'm off when you elaborate. How do you approach regular season games versus the tournament? And also speak to us about what you feel going into the championship games, because they're, at least for me, as balanced as my demeanor usually is, you feel that those butterflies just a little bit, even at the youth level. So speak to us about that.
Man, I think I think it's a lot of emotion that goes into those playoff games and those championship games. Even when I was a player, but more so as a coach, I think that helps just in realizing that there will be a lot of emotion and a lot of nervous energy and things like that. So what I try to do is my mindset is just try to stay try to true to who we are and where we've come and what we've done to gotten to this point. You know what I'm saying? Like if you I feel like if you as a coach start to change your energy and how you're talking to your players in these moments, I feel like they're gonna start to change too. They're gonna be like, man, he's really nervous, and the players can sense that too. Like coach is really nervous and letting the emotions, letting the fear or the anger get the best of me. So I just try to stay even keeled throughout the process and just pick up the energy a little bit and just give guys that sense of confidence and just let them know they deserve to be in these moments. It is a bigger moment. It's a lot more intense. It's a lot more emotion, but I think in these moments you gotta embrace the nerves and you gotta embrace the emotion and just try to be try to be who you were before you got to this point. So yeah.
You spoke a lot of strong things, and something that really stood in with me is the phrase even keel, which correlates to balance.
Yeah.
Balance is power. I
Right.
ask you, Cam. I'm gonna ask you. Well, I won't ask you because I know your answer. You and I both, and anyone who's receiving this transmission, are going to be more impressed with a man walking on a tightrope without a circus net over an alligator pit than a man who can bench press 500 pounds or who can squat 500 pounds.
Yep.
Balance is power. We tend to be polarized, most of us. That's why the majority of beings on the planet are right-handed, because we're polarized, we're off-centered
Yep.
rather than ambidextrous. I've seen your left hand, and I've seen, even though you semi go through the motion, I know a player when I see one.
Right.
We know that it's far more difficult to contain someone who is ambidextrous than one who relies on their dominant hand,
Right.
which proves that analogy we were making earlier to be an absolute. You take Trey for an example, who was born with a permanently dislocated elbow. He physically cannot do push-ups. He physically cannot do a pull-up. However, you would not be able to really assess that if you were to see him practice. And that's not that's not parent talk, but we
You're right.
do emphasize full body strength, mental strength, mental toughness, things that you don't see, like taking a charge. To me, well, not to me, as a basketball aficionado, defensively, the most impactful things you can do is strip someone at the top of the key for a coast-to-coast layup. That really hurts the offensive player, makes them feel really down.
Horrible.
And or take a charge. That really just sucks the life out of the player. And as such a team stat, you change the momentum, you impacted the momentum in a positive manner, you caused a turnover for them, you picked up a foul, and you gained your team another possession. What do you as a coach emphasize? What are the things that your team has to do if they're going to have the best chance of success under you or with you?
Okay. Um, I'm I'm big on the defensive end, man. That's funny that you mentioned that, but I know we say defense wins championships, which is cliche, man. But I think the older I get in this coaching space, I realize how important that actually is. I think I heard a quote the other day, and it said somebody was talking about defense and how really good defensive teams take other teams out of their rhythm or their timing and what they like to do. So I'm big on defensive intensity, which means that you're not relaxed while you're on the defensive side of the court. You're getting up in your man, you're making him uncomfortable, and that's really what it comes down to, dictating what the offense is going to do instead of letting them dictate what they're going to do. So you can do that by pressuring them, taking away their strengths, forcing them to their weaknesses. But I'm big on pressure and seeing and really dictating what a team or a player is gonna do instead of letting them dictate what they're gonna do. And it's funny that you mentioned the charge thing, because I do reward my players right now. If they get a charge, they get a Gatorade on me. So that's something that's definitely enforced with us. Charges and just pressure, playing hard, holding every. I think it's important to hold every player accountable too. Whether that's yelling, taking them out the game, but just getting them on the same page in terms of you got to really work on the defensive end if you're gonna play on this team.
Now, what has led you? Because it's not easy. If
Right.
I'm a casual basketball observant, I would say, how hard is it really to win in Northern Colorado? That's what I would say. My question is, how did you become a championship coach? Because it is not easy winning the final game of the season. If
Right.
it's easy, I like to ask people, well, first, did you play sports? That was number one. If
Yeah.
you played, how many times did you win the last game of the season?
Sheesh.
That's very few. It's how
Very
many
few.
championships have you won in your lifetime, let alone national championships? So this is an elite, rare class at the mundane level, because life is, as we know, larger than basketball, larger than football. It's like a fingernail. Our fingernails are important. They're
Right.
vital. If you don't believe me, don't do this. I'm not recommending, but imagine life without your fingernails and how difficult that would be. But we
Boy.
tend to take them for granted. Even if when they get a little long and we need to trim them, that's what I equate basketball to. It's something that we get to do. We're grateful for, we're appreciated, and we don't necessarily need the long fingernails. We can groom them, we can trim it, we give it some attention. That's how I equate basketball to the body, nails to the body, as to what basketball is to life. Still some things to take from that. Long-winded question, but I needed to preference with that to set up how special you are and what you've been able to do, as well as the program. But what makes you defense? Yes, defense wins games, defense
Right.
wins championships, but that pedigree. Explain that championship pedigree. How would you feel coaching if you weren't winning championships, compared to how you are now that you are, and you have that level of standard to yourself?
That's a good question and a great comparison that you mentioned. Um, I think I you right. I think you're right about that, man. In terms of how hard it is to win that last game, and um, all that builds up into it. I think it goes back to the habits that you build every day. You know what I'm saying? How do you how are you performing in the first practice of the season, and how are you performing in the middle of the season, and how are your habits, right? If we let's say if this team that I'm coaching right now, we were just getting by every game and just letting guys cut in front of our face, or not taking care of the ball consistently. Those are things that are going to come up and be glaring in those big games and those championship games. I think the biggest thing is building those habits every day, and becoming a championship team every single day of the week, and not just relying on athleticism or talent to be those things. It really comes down to doing those little to building those habits and doing the little things right every day, and also just I think it's important to instill that mentality into your team, and that starts with the work ethic at practice, and when they're in one on one sessions, but really just instilling that the habits and the confidence in these guys, and letting them know they deserve to be champions and they worked hard for it.
For sure. And bringing me to my concluding questions, how did this slip me? Gosh, the drawback of not taking notes sometimes. Happy New Year to everyone watching this.
Yep.
This is my first interview of the year. Now,
oh wow,
the average man will say, well, wasn't the new year, what is it, March, 2.5, 3 months ago? Depending on what metric you're using, but our ancestors, we went with the cosmos. And I had a master teacher express to me, whoever it goes against the cosmos is a loser. And we know that in the spring, we spring forth new life. We're about to see, you see the sun is now on its ascension, as well as the trees are about to get green, insects are about to come out, the animals, the rabbits, hopefully they don't fall in my window well again, which they tend to do every year. We got to go down and get them. And man, I can go on that too. But so yeah, it is the new year for us, and we're grateful in the energy that we're cultivating, that we're sowing, sowing right now is what we'll see, is what we'll be married to. Now, in knowing higher truths, you know, I don't steer away from my spirituality or anything of that nature. And we have things, we mentioned the heart. We know we have a heart. We can't physically see the heart right now. But if you or I, don't answer this, I'm yet to meet a man who has never had his heart broken by a woman. I'm yet to meet one. We would have a very difficult moment explaining what a heartbreak feels like. It's something that you may need to experience it just to get the full spectrum of what we call life, but it's not something I'm going to wish on you at all. That feeling, we cannot see it. We cannot touch it. We barely can describe it.
Right.
The same thing with a thought. You know, I can have a thought, and our brain has electrical synapses. We are electromagnetic beings. So when the brain transmits a thought, the brain is a transmitter and a receiver.
Right.
That's why our hair is curly. That's the concept of antennas. Curly hair, the head. receiving a transmission. And that's why we have that whirl on our
Oh,
head.
wow.
Mine is right there. So you can receive. It's a vortex. We're speaking of energetic vortexes here. And that's what I meant in originally meeting you, connecting at the heart frequency. Said
Gotcha.
that to say this: intuition, which is here, intuition is something that we cannot see, but we can feel it.
Yeah.
And intuitively, you may have felt this question that I am about to conclude with was coming. And it's okay, because I asked everybody who coaches my son, what is it like coaching him? And just what would you like to say about him?
Okay. Man.
Well, first, let me
Man.
ask, did you kind of think that question was coming before you came on?
A
Not to
little
put pressure
bit.
on you.
A little bit.
Well,
At
that's the
some point, a little
parenting.
bit, but not really.
Yeah.
Not the timing. But man, I would say Trey's a hell of a kid, man. He's first of all, let's start off with that. He's a great human being, first of all. Um, I like to always start with that, especially with my players, because it's bigger than basketball at the end of the day, even though we talk about it all the time and all that, but it's bigger than basketball. Trey's a great human being. He's a great, respectful young man. You can just tell, certain kids, they want to be great, and some have some natural abilities that you can't teach, that leads to greatness, that is greatness, in terms of the feel for the game. Even in all my years of playing, coaching, you try to put a nail on it. What does this kid have? What is he doing on his own? Sometimes you just can't teach it. He has a great feel for the game. So he's long, he's athletic, can pass the ball, can shoot it. He does everything out there. He's big for his size. So I'm really excited for Trey, and what the future holds, whether it's with this team, which I can see it being, but whether it's on this team, for this program, um, anywhere, he's going to be a name to be known in Colorado for a long time. And I'm excited to see his growth, to be a part of it, and help out where I can. But I'm really just excited to sit back and watch where he's gonna end up.
Man, that's big time. Big time. Appreciate that assessment. And also, the most valuable thing we have is our energy,
Yeah,
and the fact you spent your currents with me. I uphold that to a supreme level. We speak about spending currency, money, currency per
yeah.
se.
Hmm.
However, us being the electromagnetic beings that I previously alluded to, we emit currents. And again, I'm grateful for your currents with us as we conclude. Beautiful, beautiful interview. This is about you. Also, it may inspire someone to say, hey, I would like to have my voice heard as well. And get with those who I choose to get with those who, one, I see some potential in. We connect at the heart. And what do you stand for? Like, I know, like you spoke about that my intuition may be amplified compared to, let's say, an undeveloped man. And I'm able to see that, or able to feel that it. And I can say that about you for certain. So, giving thanks, my brother. Keep being great. Keep doing what you do. And I will you the best. Wholeness.
Grateful for you, man. Grateful for your energy, our conversations, even not on here. But I'm really blessed that you had me on here, man. And thank you for your energy. It's really appreciated, man.
Absolutely, my brother. We'll be in touch.
For sure.